Hello everyone, welcome to this Genesis chapter 4 Bible Trivia Extra. So in this we're going to have 10 questions for Genesis chapter 4 quizzing you on your Genesis chapter 4 knowledge. So let's begin. Number 1. Cain responded to God's question about the whereabouts of Abel by saying, I know not blank. Option A, am I my brother's keeper? B, why do you bother me? C, I am angry with him. D, you love him more than me. You have 5 seconds. The answer is A, am I my brother's keeper? And you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 9. Number 2. What did Cain say about the punishment God gave him for murdering his brother? A. This curse is way greater than my sins. B. My punishment is greater than I can bear. C. My punishment is for a lifetime, I cannot bear it. D. I shall die of this curse. You have 5 seconds. The answer is B. My punishment is greater than I can bear. And you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 13. Number 3. Where did Cain go to live when he was driven from his house? A. Oz. B. Land of Nod. C. D. In the east. You have 5 seconds. The answer is B, the land of Nod, and you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 16. Number 4. What was Cain's fear? A. He was afraid of being apprehended. B. He was afraid of being captured. C. He was afraid of being murdered. D. He was afraid of the consequences of his sins. You have 5 seconds. The answer is C. He was afraid of being murdered. And you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 14. Number 5. The first city ever built in the world was called what? A. East. B. Nod. C. Enos. D. Enoch. You have 5 seconds. The answer is Enoch, and you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 17. Number 6. Which man was the first to have a polygamous marriage in the world? A. Irad. B. Lamech. C. Jabal. D. Mahujal. You have 5 seconds. The answer is B. Lamech, and you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 19. Number 12. The earliest musicians ever to walk this earth were descendants of what? A. Jabal. B. Enos. C. Jubal. D. Tubal-Cain. You have 5 seconds. The answer is Jubal, and you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 21. Number 7. Was the story of Cain's evil deed of killing Abel known to his descendants? A. Yes. B. No. C. Not really. D. None of them. You have 5 seconds. The answer is A. Yes. And you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verses 34 to 24. Number 8. Seth gave birth to a son called A. Jubal, B. Lamech, C. Enoch, D. Enos. You have 5 seconds. The answer is D. Enos. And you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 26. Number 4. The first rivals mentioned in the Bible were A. Ada and Zillah, B. Nama and Zillah, C. Ada and Nama, D. Hannah and Penina. You have 5 seconds. The answer is A. Ada and Zillah. And you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 19. Number 10. What was the profession of Cain? A. Herdsman, B. Farmer, D. Blacksmith, D. Shepherd. You have 5 seconds. The answer is B. Farmer, and you can see this in Genesis chapter 4, verse 2. That's it for this Bible trivia. I hope you did well. I'll see you in the next Bible study.